So Ukraine offers Westerners in general really nice, favorable visa-free terms. It's 90 days every 180. But what do you do if you want to stay longer than 3 months here in Ukraine? In today's Tip Thursday with me, Connor Klein. First of all, greetings from Kherson in the south of Ukraine. Just got the River Dnipro behind me. In this video, we're going to dive into a primer on how you can get a Ukrainian visa to stay longer than 3 months. Поехали! So there are 3 ways in order to stay longer than the 90-day visa-free allowance, and they are firstly temporary residency, permanent residency, and citizenship. Now, temporary residency, first of all, you're going to have to get a visa and then come back in and then apply for that residency, and that is between 1 to 3 years and renewable into perpetuity. So you are going to have to renew it for sure if it's a temporary residency option that you go for. Now, there are in principle 5 ways to do that. The first one is to study here in Ukraine, become a student, get a student visa. The second way is to become a volunteer. Now, obviously, you're not paid if you're a volunteer, but there is an authorized list of organizations that can invite you to Ukraine as a volunteer. The third way is to get a job for which you're going to be paid, get an employment, some employment here in Ukraine. The fourth way is probably the most popular amongst foreigners, and that is to set up a company and then be employed yourself here in Ukraine. And the fifth way, which I guess until recently was probably the most popular and maybe in the long term is going to end up being the most expensive for you, with a 60% divorce rate more or less here in Ukraine, and that is by marriage to Ukrainian. That's an overview of temporary residency. There is an uptick in guys who come here who are interested in meeting beautiful Ukrainian women but don't actually want to take them back to the West. They are fully aware of the dangers of that, and actually they see the advantages of actually just being here in Ukraine or maybe somewhere else in the region as well. Maybe it's Belarus or Russia. 5 options: student, volunteer, employment, company, and marriage, if you're brave enough to marry a Ukrainian woman. So the second way to go about staying here in Ukraine longer than your visa-free allowance is permanent residency. Now, from the name you can guess, obviously you don't need to get that renewed because it's permanent. And there are a few ways to go about it. The most straightforward way is to invest 100K here in a company, 100,000 US dollars, and then you can apply for permanent residency. Another way is through marriage. And then the third way, which is a new way and quite exciting, is for IT specialists. There's actually a special program that's just launched, and it is to help IT specialists come here and they get permanent residency, and that is an absolutely fantastic option. I just helped a former client who came and lived this our experience with me in Minsk, Belarus. He is now a friend, and actually helped him out with referring him to the lawyer I've been using, and he's actually just got accepted. It was super fast, in fact, so that's fantastic. He's going to have permanent residency pretty soon, and it was pretty cost effective. So that is something that is a really great new option here for Ukraine, but of course it applies only to those of you who actually have real experience in IT.
Prior to coming here, I actually investigated the jobs because I work in my domain. What I work in the technology domain, I was actually thinking about applying for jobs and maybe permanently moving here. And coming here with you, the Tezar experience was definitely a great head start to just basically get a quick idea how things are going. And now, after having been here a couple of days with you, hang around, I mean, you spend a lot of time with me, and we had drinks the whole day. We had hours of talk to basically go through a lot of details. Now I think I'm like 97% convinced that I want to permanently move here. So that was a really great help. And if I would have done that alone, obviously would have taken me much more time, not knowing very well Russians and stuff. So yeah, so thanks a lot for that.
After that, of course, citizenship is also an option. Now, normally, as I said at the beginning of the video, Citizenship comes normally after you've been staying here for a while, but you might have a Ukrainian ancestry, for example, and that would be a way to get Ukrainian citizenship. And obviously, if you're citizen, you can just stay here as long as you want. Be aware that at the moment, Ukraine does not allow dual nationality in principle. Now, there are a few people who've had more than 2 passports, and that's a little bit more nuanced, but in principle, they don't allow dual nationality. And obviously, if you move here and then later on apply for citizenship and you've come, say, as an American, well, they're going to be aware that you also have another passport since you were here as a foreigner. For some guys, that's actually something they want. For example, US citizens, they are taxed, they have income tax on the worldwide income, even if they're not resident in the US. So for some Americans, it might actually be attractive to give up their US passport and become Ukrainian. Now, Ukrainian is not for travel purposes the best passport to have in the world, but it's not that bad compared to what it was 10 years ago. They do have Schengen visa free to the Schengen zone, and they have, you can go to lots of places like the Emirates and etc. So they have been expanding the visa free options as a travel document once you have your passport as a Ukrainian citizen. So perhaps for some guys that is going to be interesting from that point of view. Also, Ukraine does not deport its own citizens. So yes, there are some guys I've seen as foreigners come here that when you research their past, you understand maybe why they want to become Ukrainian and give up their Western passport. So there you have my brief overview about how you can move to Ukraine for longer than the 90-day visa-free limit. Now, in order to figure out the optimal visa strategy for you, there are 2 ways that I help guys do that when they want to come here to Ukraine. And the first one is to jump on a consulting call together. We're going to figure out the optimal strategy and then implement it for you. Also, on those consulting calls, you get to ask me any other burning questions you have, in particular about the dating situation here. How you go and book a consulting call? Well, I have a link below in the description where you can go and book that. Now, the second way that I help guys who are moving here to Ukraine is guys who want to go a good bit deeper than just getting the visa situation sorted out. They want to set up a whole network here in Ukraine. They want to buy real estate. They want to set up maybe a business here. And for that, I have Slavic Utopia Secrets Ukraine. It is my high-level consultation group for guys who want to move here for 3 to 12 months a year. I will put a link to that also below in the description to this video if you want to join that, get in on that as well. And the big advantage there is we go further than the optimal visa strategy. We look at how to invest in real estate here, where are the best opportunities, also the healthcare system, also the business opportunities, how to navigate all of that, and what are the opportunities that will be available to you when you come here to Ukraine. Also, how to overcome the language barrier, because if you're going to live here for longer than 3 months, you need a solution to that big issue, because English is not that widely spoken here. So looking forward to helping you with that and your move here to Ukraine. Do побачення, до свидання from Kherson. Ciao, ciao.
SAR Experience.